Hello everybody. How is everybody today? Feel free to type in the chat. How are you all doing? I hope you are all well. It's sunny here in Paris. Perhaps it is sunny where you are too. So hopefully, hello Marianne, hope you're well. Hopefully you all had a good day today, whether you were at work or whether you are on holiday. So, for any of you who are joining for the first time, welcome. So, I work for an organization called Cercle de Langues, and at Cercle de Langues, we offer English lessons. So, maybe you found us on YouTube, and yes, every Tuesday we do live YouTube lessons on a different topic, and it's a series called Sounding More Natural in English. So, we want to help you sound more natural. Maybe you learned English at school, maybe you know lots of words, but sometimes you think, I want to sound more natural like a native speaker. So this is what we want to do with our series. Okay, great. Thanks for your reply, Marianne. So you worked today and you were on holiday last week. Okay, nice, great, perfect. So let's get into today's topic. So as you can see from the title, the topic is how often do you? So this is a very common question that we ask in English when we want to talk about frequency. So for example, I could ask, how often do you go on holiday? And I could say, I go on holiday twice a year, for example. Maybe you go on holiday during the summer, and then you also go on holiday during Christmas time. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining. Or another question I could ask you is, how often do you go to the cinema, for example? For example, I don't go to the cinema very often, so I could say, I occasionally go to the cinema. How about you guys? How often do you go to the cinema, or how often do you do an activity? So feel free to type your answers. So you're feeling a little bit shy today, feel free to type, no problem. So I could also ask you another question, for example, write something you always do, or write something that you never do, for example. So for example, something I always do, I always drink coffee in the morning. So I drink coffee in the morning so that I can stay awake for the rest of the day. But for example, I never eat raisins because I do not like raisins. How about you? Tell me something that you always do, so maybe something that you do every day, and tell me something that you never do, so something that you avoid doing. So do let me know if you have any questions or if you don't understand anything. So if you don't understand any of the words. Okay, Marianne, thank you very much. So you always drink tea in the morning. Exactly. Great. Perfect. Thank you for that. Michelle or anybody else, would you like to participate? Feel free to type. Okay. So, yes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through some words that you can use when you want to talk about the frequency of something. Okay, and before we do that, I'll go through some of your answers. Great, thank you very much. I never eat anything in the morning. Okay, Marianne, so you don't have breakfast. Great, good answer. And Emily, thanks for joining in. I never eat watermelon because it makes me sick. Very good reason not to eat watermelon, definitely. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so you will see that I already used a few words like always, sometimes, never. So these are what we call adverbs of frequency because they tell you how frequently we do an activity. So, apart from those three, can you think of any other examples of adverbs of frequency? So, I'll give you some time to think about it. So, I've got a few other examples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9 other examples for you today. So, hi Michelle. Sorry if I'm speaking too fast for you. So, we want to look for similar words. So, words that are like always, sometimes, and never. So, obviously in French you have those words like toujours, jamais, parfois. What are words that are in this same kind of category? Marianne, quite. So quite isn't one of these words. Quite is in the category of words like very. So quite can describe an adjective, like it's quite hot today. These words describe a noun. So, I sometimes drink coffee. I never drink tea. So, Emily, rarely. Yes, great, perfect. This is an example of one of these words. Great, nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you guys out. So, we're going to start from the top. So, the most frequent and then the least frequent. So the first one I already said to you before was always. So when you say always, this is when you do something 100% of the time. So I said I always drink coffee. So every single day I drink coffee. So another one is usually. So usually is like 90% of the time. So if you say, I usually drink tea in the morning, it's not every single morning, but it's like most mornings, maybe 6 mornings out of 7, or maybe it doesn't happen for some reason. So the next one, normally. So normally is about 80% of the time. So for example, if you say, I normally come to work at 9 a.m., this means that it's normal, but sometimes it happens that you do not come at 9 a.m. Maybe you take the metro and there is a problem, or maybe there is traffic if you drive to work, for example. So please let me know if you have any questions at any time. So the next one is often. So this is about 70% of the time that we use this one. So the one that's kind of in the middle is sometimes. So sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. In French, this would be, the equivalent would be parfois. So now we are going down, so less. And the next one would be occasionally, so about 30% of the time. So it's not an activity that is frequent. So maybe there is an activity that you do not have a lot of time for. Maybe it's sports. I occasionally do sports. So not enough time dedicated to it. Okay, so let's get down to about 10%. So this word is seldom. So it's not happening a lot. It is not a frequent activity. And then the word which Emily said, thank you very much for that. So this was probably about 5% of the time, is the word rarely. And then the complete opposite of always, 0%, is never. So the example that Emily, that you gave, you never eat watermelon. So if you have an allergy, it's very important that you never eat a certain food, for example. So maybe I can ask you guys a question. How often do you speak English? So maybe you can use one of the words from above. So if you have lessons once a week, then it's definitely not never. You speak English in the week. Or if you don't have lessons, then it's going to be less. So obviously I am an English speaker, so I always speak English 100% of the time. How about you guys? How often do you speak English? Feel free to type your answer. Feeling shy? Great. Thanks very much, Marianne. I rarely speak English because I know nobody who speaks in English. Exactly. Yes. So you only speak English 5% of the time. Maybe when you travel and you meet an English-speaking person, maybe you speak English then. Great. Thank you for that. Emily, I occasionally speak English. Okay, great. So yes, if you occasionally speak English, maybe it's like a couple of times a week. Great, perfect. So the next thing I want to talk about is the word order. So it's very important to think about the word order. So, you always read in English nearly every day. Great, Marianne, that's perfect. And also very good word order as well. So the word order, it depends what verb you are using. So perhaps you already noticed with some of the examples that we used already. So where do we usually put these adverbs of frequency? So do we put them at the beginning? Do we put them in the middle? Or do we put them at the end? What do you think is the best? Is it best to put these words at the beginning, in the middle, or in the end? Michelle, thank you for your contribution. I rarely speak English. Exactly. Good. Perfect sentence. Okay, Marianne, thank you very much. In the middle. Exactly. Great. Yes, exactly. So the most natural place to put these words is in the middle. So as you can see with a lot of the examples, we have the subject. Often the subject is I. And then we have the word or the adverb of frequency. And then we have the verb. So I sometimes speak French. So in this example, you can see the subject, then the adverb of frequency, then the verb, then whatever you want to say in the rest of the sentence. So I hope that's clear. So with some of them, you can put them at the beginning. But the most natural and the most safe place to put them is always in this position. So this can be for all verbs like to speak, to eat, to have, etc. But there is one big exception. And that is with the verb to be. So can anybody tell me what is the word order with the verb to be? So I will give you a clue. It's different. So Marianne, you said it's after. Maybe you could write an example sentence to make it clearer. That would be great. I would give you the example sentence, but I want to see if you know it already. So, after what exactly? So feel free to type if you think you know the answer. So for anyone who just joined, we're talking about the word order of adverbs of frequency. I'm usually working every Monday. Yes, exactly. Great, perfect. Yes. So when you said after, it's after the subject and the verb. So I will give an example sentence as well. I am rarely late for work. So here we have the I am, then we have the adverb of frequency, rarely, then the rest of the sentence. And of course it works with any other subject. So you might say something to your friend like, you are always positive. So here you see that the adverb of frequency is after to be, you are. So this is the rule. So for all verbs except to be, it's between the subject and the verb, but for to be, it's after both the subject and the verb. So would you guys all be able to give me some example sentences? So try to use a different verb than one you used before. So maybe you could say something that you do in your life. And you could try to use an adverb of frequency that you might not have used before. So maybe you could try to use the adverb of frequency seldom, for example. Or another one that people do not use a lot, perhaps, is occasionally, for example. So I can give you an example as well. So I could talk about breakfast. So I can tell you all that I usually eat muesli for breakfast. So a type of cereal. Maybe you can talk about what you usually eat or what you usually do in your morning routine. Or maybe if you work a job where you work different times, you can talk about the times that you work as well. So for anybody who just joined, we're giving some example sentences using adverbs of frequency. Thank you very much, Marianne. I occasionally have my coffee at my work. Great. Yes, perfect. Nice. So in that case, if you occasionally have your coffee at work, then perhaps usually the opposite sentence could be that you usually have your coffee at home, I presume. Maybe those two sentences can work together. So you can also see that you can use kind of the opposites of adverbs of frequency to create more sentences as well. Nice, thank you very much for that. Hi Marie-Christine, welcome. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to play a little game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a sentence and I want you to rearrange the sentence so that it is in the correct order. So we already spoke about the order and what is the correct way to order with verbs and especially the verb to be. So the example is here. And I would like you to rearrange the sentence so that it's correct. So Michelle, thanks for your example. I'm not usually just missing the verb there, so probably speaking English at work. But yes, good example. Great, thank you. So for anyone just joining, we're going to rearrange the sentence so that it is in the correct order. So the sentence, go sometimes to park the eye. So how do we rearrange that so it's in the correct place? Great, thank you very much for your answer, Marianne. I sometimes go to the park. Exactly, perfect, that's great. Okay, so now we're going to do the next sentence. Alcohol, she drinks occasionally. So to rearrange this sentence to be in the correct order and to sound as natural as possible in English. Feel free to contribute and to type the answer. Great, it's all coming in now. So, Michelle, nice, you added something. I sometimes go to the park for a run. Great. Marianne and Emily, thank you very much for your contribution. She occasionally drinks alcohol. Perfect, great. Okay, so the next sentence. Up, normally, I, at, get, 7 a.m. So how do you rearrange this to be correct? So I'm going to give you a hint. There is a phrasal verb here. So just be careful with the phrasal verb and make sure that the two parts of the phrasal verb are together. Oh, Marianne, you're very fast. I normally get up at 7 a.m. Perfect. Emily, you're just following her as well. Great, perfect. Maybe Marianne has a slightly faster internet connection than you, Emily, but yes, great. So, Marie, we are talking about the order of adverbs of frequency. So earlier, before you joined the lesson, we spoke about the order. So when you talk about something and how often you do it, then you need to make sure that words like usually, occasionally, sometimes are in the correct place in the sentence. And now I'm giving a sentence which is not in the correct order, and the objective is to rearrange the sentence. Great. Thank you very much, Paige. I normally get up at 7 o'clock. Perfect. Great. So the next sentence is early for he often work. So what is the sentence when you rearrange it correctly? So hopefully you get the prepositions in the correct order as well. I'm taking a bit more time to think about this one. So this is with the verb to be. So it's slightly different than other verbs. Paige. So just missing one word there. He early often for work. Yes. So there's one word missing there. You're missing the verb is. But good try. So just remember, it's to be. And what is the rule with to be? It's different to other verbs. It changes the order. Anybody else want to give it a go? Or shall I give you the answer? Okay, so I will help you out here. Marianne, nice. He is often for early work. Almost there. Yes, so I will help you out, guys. So he is often early for work. It was a more difficult sentence. So here you could replace the word early if you want to say the opposite with late. For example, he is rarely late for work would be the opposite, for example. So, but yes, good try, Marianne. So with the word order at the beginning, it was correct, just the rest of the sentence. So let's have the final example for today. So rearranging this sentence. The, I, always, to, teacher, listen. I hope that this sentence is true. So, who will be the first one to contribute? Great, perfect. You both said it at the same time. So, Marianne and Emily, I always listen to the teacher. Yes, exactly. Very good. Great. Thank you very much for that. So we are coming towards the end of this YouTube Live. So thank you very much for your participation. Everybody who wrote in the chat, thank you so much. You guys really understood it really well. And really using adverbs of frequency, they really make you sound very natural in English. So I really encourage you to use these words and try to integrate them into your conversation, even if you rarely speak English. I think it's really good that you try to use them as much as possible. So come again next Tuesday. So we also have our live next Tuesday as well. Again, we're continuing in the series of sounding natural in English. So thank you all very much and have a nice evening. Thank you, Marianne, and thank you, Emily, for your nice comments. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.